To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs.
From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items.
Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
In the heartland of our country, something magical is happening. At Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes, we know the power of community, of hands coming together to create wonders. These costumes are symbols of love, compassion, and inclusion. Your hands can craft dreams. Join us at Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes build events and be a part of something extraordinary.
Introducing Tractor USA, the best way to buy and sell premium ag and construction equipment. Tractor USA was designed to be straightforward, simple, and affordable with zero commission and live auctions every week. Tractor USA auctions offer the finest selection of pre-owned tractors, combines, and other ag and construction equipment from across the United States and the world. Simply go to TractorUSA.com to get started today.
So few moments in a season are as important as this. And with the reset in points narrowing the gap amongst top 12, this week could be a defining factor for an entire season. Presented by Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes, Clark Print Shop, 29 Graphics, and Tractor USA, live from the virtual Auto Club Speedway, it's Saturday Night Racing League, Chase Race number 1, live on V-Speed. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside Connor Horn. Connor, we saw a lot of great racing there 2 weeks ago from Atlanta. A lot of 3 wide, a lot of 4 wide. These guys made it through, and I'm set to go for another one here tonight.
Yeah, this should be a fun one. Auto Club's always going to be a good show, no matter what car you put on this surface. Last season, it was the Gen 4 cars. Jeff Wright and Joshua Banks combined to lead, I believe, 91 of 100 laps the last time we were here. Jeff Wright came out on top. Joshua Banks didn't have enough to get there. And we might see the same type of battle here tonight. This playoff, this chase battle should be pretty intense. Right now, Michael Sturgill's on the point. Jeff Wright a little further down the order than we expect. Joshua Banks a little further up, but there's still so many other players in this chase. We got to get green to see who's really going to be a player at this 2-mile racetrack. Shame it doesn't exist anymore, but it still exists on iRacing. 2-mile racetrack, 14 degrees of banking in the corners. You'll see drivers on the way bottom. You'll see drivers all the way next to the wall. We'll see 4 and 5 wide tonight. Something we won't see for the rest of the season, except maybe at Talladega. This should be exciting.
A lot of racing going on here at Auto Club. One of the best tracks, in my opinion, that the Cup and Xfinity Series ever came to. It's a shame that it doesn't exist anymore. Race analysis coming up on your screen. Well, there it is, 100 laps here tonight. That'll be 200 miles. Pit road speed limit 55 miles per hour. 3 green-white checkered attempts with 5 tire sets available and 85% fuel. And of course, as always, the iRacing Fix setup. And you mentioned it there briefly, but let's talk about those points. Jeff Wright able to best Joshua Banks here last season. But here's the reset. The top 12, those names in yellow, from Caleb Weekly on up to Jeff Wright. And 5 wins. That chase standing for those 5 victories really made a difference, but it narrowed those gaps. We were talking about gaps over 40 points for some of these guys outside the top 10. It's all evened out here from 5th place on down.
Yeah, really evened out especially. So we'll see Jeff Wright probably keep that gap. He's going to work very hard to extend that gap going into next week. It should be pretty important. So we'll see what he can do tonight. Joshua Banks is the closest driver to him. He'll start ahead of him. Carwell is and McWard are a little bit ahead of the other guys. And then, like you said, it is even from Alex Bell all the way to Caleb Weekly. Even some drivers outside the playoffs, Turner, Ortega, Massey with wins, couldn't make it in or didn't run enough races. But obviously, no surprise to see Jeff Wright win the regular season title with 5 wins to his name. Looking to go back-to-back in two different types of vehicles, almost technically 3 different types of vehicles. We'll still run the next gens one more time at Talladega in a week or so time. This should be pretty exciting.
Well, pretty large field here tonight. Let's take trackside, get that grid up on the screen. And like you said, starting on the pole here tonight, it's going to be Michael Sturgill with a 40.575, just over Chad Klinger by 4/1,000ths of a second. Row number 2 is going to belong to Joshua Banks. Chuck Sweeney making that cutoff line. He's going to start in 4th. 5th spot goes to Angelo Horonis with Bryce Shoemaker in 6th spot. 7th goes to Jeff Wright, the points leader, coming into tonight with Brian Chambliss in 8th. Rounding out that top 10 here tonight from Auto Club, it's going to be Ryan Carwile, Reggie Ortega in the number 2.
Big field here tonight, and this is just the first half of it. Bailey Turner is going to start 11th alongside Adam Cabot, who's making another appearance this season. They'll start 11th and 12th, both non-playoff drivers, both here for wins. 13th place will get to Joseph McWhorter. He is a playoff driver. He's here for more than wins. He's looking for a title himself. Caleb Weekly in the 14th position, starting alongside Weekly in the same sort of situation, starting at the very back of the chase grid, but we'll see what the 13 can do. 15th position as we're getting the 1 to go this time by Ray Massey. A win at Kansas, or Chicagoland, excuse me. Pretty crazy win at Chicagoland that was. He starts 15th. Alex Bell starts in the 16th position with a 40.746. Has one of the supers in the field. 17th position, Dakota Floyd, a name I remember seeing, but not in a while. Number 57 starts 17th. Johnny Rapp, a car we've seen all season long, starts in the 18th position. Then rounding out that top 20 tonight, Gavin Pittman, the HendrickCars.com, number 22. One of those Chevy Camaros in the field. There seems like there's a lot of them all the time. He starts 19th. Ethan Collier, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's in a NOS Energy Supra. He starts 20th.
Dakota Floyd, a name I'm very familiar with here on V Speed. Mike George is going to start in 21st. Max Koss in 22nd spot. 23rd goes to Stephon Davis. Jerry Bergeron in 24th. 25th, Justin Ritchie. Another guy I'm familiar with, Brandon Wallace in 26th. Gotta love this field. 35, 36 cars out here. Keith Shoemaker, 27th. Robert Denton in 28th. 29th, Kyle Peacock. Derek Garrison in 30th. And we have about 6 more cars here with Jerry West, Laniel D. Robinson in the 27th, 32nd. Moving on through to 33rd, Eric Garrison, Eddie Trejo out on the racetrack. And rounding out that 36-car field, it's Dustin Germain and Mark McFadden. Well, we got through the grid, but let's see if we can get through this race. It's going to be heart-pounding. 3 wide, 4 wide, very big racetrack, plenty of room for these guys, multi-groove racing. I'm excited, hope you're excited at home for chase race number 1. Pace car is going to get out of the way. Let's unleash 700 plus horsepower here into turn 1. Sturgill onto the loud pedal on that restart zone, going on green. Chad Klinger alongside. Chase race number 1 is underway at Auto Club. Coming by to lead lap number 1, it is going to be Sturgill, but not by much, and this field fans out. Lots of drafting here. We talked about how this is going to be kind of a pack-style race. Very difficult to pull away from anybody. It's going to be very similar to the new Atlanta, maybe Michigan, and the plate tracks that we go to. Connor?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there'll be too much like a plate race. We might see some drivers get away from the field. Like we talked about, Banks and Jeff Wright were very good here in the Gen 4 car. We might not see them get as far away from the rest of the field, but we might see some drivers tend to dominate this race. But we're still 2x2 at the front. We're nearly 4 wide out of turn number 4, way in the background with Dakota Floyd on the inside of it. Bryce Shoemaker slipping back. drivers already all over the racetrack, and we're still on fresh tires. You'll see these tires wear out more and more as this run goes on. As we get less fuel in the cars, we'll see everyone next to the wall, down at the way bottom. We will see every inch of this racetrack used, even the apron in 3 and 4 at times.
From 10th place on back, it's still 3 wide. There's Caleb Weekly on the outside. The 57 machine there in the middle. Then you have Alex Bell down on the bottom. So Floyd, Weekly, Bell, 3 wide into 3. Ray Massey just in front of that, and a little contact there between the 15 and the 57. They're going to hold it on point. Now, Bryce Shoemaker way up the racetrack. He has company by the 9.
Yeah, he has company. Brian Chambliss in the middle. There's 2 Cheerios cars, I think, tonight, and they're almost both of them are Toyotas, but the 9's in the sandwich right now. There's a spin.
Sideways! He's gonna save. He lost the nose, but that's a yellow. Oh, magically reappears, but heavy contact on the back of that machine, and the 43 gets sent around into turn 1 on lap number 4.
I don't know how that was a one-car incident. That was in the middle of the field, and somehow Bryce Shoemaker gets away with just a banged-up rear bumper. That will really slow him down if he can't repair that. But that should have been a 12-car pileup. I don't know how everyone avoided him. There were at least 2 cars that just barely avoided the 43's front end.
55 of Justin Ritchie got into the back. Looked like a little bit of a check up there. The 43 trying to set the nose, and we'll back it up one more time with our aerial blimp coverage here. Yeah, Ritchie's got a good run here.
Yeah, Ritchie, I think he's claiming the 43 checked up too early in the corner, but it is early. You're not trying to full send it into the corner, but definitely miscommunication on where the lifting point here is. The 43, I don't know if he lifted that early. 55 kind of just fired it in there, and there were 2 really good pieces of driving there. I think Jerry West was one of those drivers who barely got to the inside. I think Brandon Wallace was the other driver in the Xbox Camaro, but that could have been 5, 6, or more cars.
On board with the 55.
He did lift a little early, but
that's a good check, but at the same time, it's early in this race.
And it's the responsibility of a driver behind. You got to be aware of what's in front of you. So you can't just say, oh, he lifted earlier than I expected. It's still on you to lift for that driver. Got to give him a break there. And there was no give there. Just too much take, I would say. As have some pit stops, even only 4 laps in. Bailey Turner from 9th comes down. And he brought maybe a third or a quarter of the field down with him. I thought I saw Alex Bell in there. Stephen Davis, and a lot of others.
So about 16 cars come down pit road here for probably just topping off the fuel. Actually, Bailey getting some tires on this machine. Looks like right side goes up. Is he going to take 4? He is. So down and away for some of these other guys on just fuel only. You see the 15, Alex Bell, he's down and away, but the 24 decided, hey, maybe it's better to take 4 tires here on this stop. And of course, Bryce Shoemaker's going to get some damage repaired. He'll probably fall out of the top 30. That leaves Joshua Banks up front. Chad Klinger just behind him. Banks took the lead over rather quickly just off the edge of this. And I don't know, man. It looks like one of those races that we're going to have an early caution to shake up the strategy, and then it's going to be one of those fuel mileage races like Auto Club usually is.
We could see that, definitely. The fuel is going to be pushed close to that halfway point. I think these drivers who hadn't pit, I mean, the thing is, it's an 85% fuel limit, so actually, I highly doubt we can make it to 50. We're probably going to be seeing drivers try to stretch it to that lap 33 point, maybe lap 35, just trying to set up for the 2-stop. I don't think we're in a scenario where a 1-stop's possible. Maybe we see some drivers try an extra stop.
Bailey Turner.
If anyone's going to try to cut a stop out, try a 1-stop, it's Bailey Turner. But he is one to go off strategy, as we might get the 1 to green here, which it looks like we will. But I don't see a 1-stop happening, but we don't really know how severe that tire wear can really be. I know Joshua Banks ran a 40.7 in practice. His slowest time on that run was about a second off after 8 or 9 laps. So we'll see that wear could get much worse over the run, or it could stabilize out like we see at a lot of 1.5 miles. But we just need to get a run in first. And with 35 cars in the field, everyone's still running, by the way. No one's out after that. Shoemaker's the only one even with damage. And even that 43 looks repaired. But all these cars, you got to worry about the attrition rate that could pick up.
Yeah, with a lot of names out here, and only 12 of them are battling for the championship. It's one of the biggest fields that we've seen. It can actually kind of make a break this season for a lot of guys because the field's so deep. If you get taken out early in this event and end up out of this top 20, the likelihood of you overcoming that later on, I mean, we've only got a handful of races here before this season's wrapped up, so you got to make them count here. And like I said in the introduction, there's so few races that are more important than the first chase race. Can't stress that enough here tonight as we get set to go green for the second time today.
And you really want to have a good run here tonight because you go through a gauntlet after this. You go to the short track in North Wilkesboro next week, and after that, we're in the next-gen cars at Talladega where anything can happen. A 2-week stretch where you really don't want to be in a bad spot after this week.
Pace car out of the way. Joshua Banks going to lead them into turn 1. Sturgill has fallen back to third. Your pole sitter just behind on the inside. Green flag's out. We're back underway. Fanning out. 2-3 wide. Here we go into turn 1. It looks like they're already getting a little crazy. And here comes the 75 on the outside of your points leader.
Trying to get to the outside of Chad Klinger, and the new white number on that 09 couldn't quite do it, but that top line will always have the run down the back straightaway. A lot more draft, a lot more bump drafting going on up there. Everyone else on the bottom just trying to side draft each other back, and we'll see 2-3 wide in turn 3 on restarts every single time. McWhorter's in the middle, Cabot's on the bottom, Chuck Sweeting still making the higher line work. He was the only one that much higher than everyone, as everyone squeezes to the wall, and through all that, Joshua Banks keeps the lead. Sturgill to second. Klinger chopped the nose of the 48 there just to block, maybe give him draft, but he keeps third. But Jeff Wright's going to look to the inside in the turn 1 again as we fan out using about 4 or 5 lane widths of this track.
Using every inch of asphalt. 75 on the outside. He gets a good, decent run there on Jeff Wright. Wright, of course, pinned down there. Not exactly where you want to be early on. However, it does save the tires to run that bottom line, and I think as you progress through this run, you'll see the 48, the 75. Everybody's going to start wall riding here into the entrance and exits of these turns. 35 of Banks going to lead this time by.
Yeah, we'll see everyone be on the bottom for a while here, but everyone starts, when those tires start to wear and you see the comers and goers.
Oh, Cabot!
Oh, man, that's another case of someone lifting earlier into the corner than they thought. I think it was Ortega who thought the 17 would fire it into turn 1 as the 57 hit the wall. But I think it was another thing. Cabot lifted early, Ortega wasn't ready.
So Hronis going to get up on the back bumper. The 17 Concrete Cabot, of course, not here for some of the events and running a limited schedule there for the 17 team. But a guy that's feared nonetheless. Any place you put the 17 car, he's a threat to win, and it's no different here today.
Yeah, definitely no different. We'll see if he can get to the front. Looks like he's trying to lay back, run a shallow line, entering the corner, but this time Ortega was ready for it. And the 29 of Hronis and the 2 of Ortega go around the outside of the 17. They'll be 3 wide squeezing off the corner. Looking at Bailey Turner further back, he's up to about the 16th position, or maybe the 15th position even, trying to get closer to the front. He's one of the drivers furthest up on fresh tires, but I don't think fresh tires will matter too much. I think it was more about just getting the field to go along with it, but Turner still trying to climb back through this field.
And that 2 car with a new badge on the hood, trying to race its way up there. 29 graphics on that machine. He's 3 wide in the middle, Cabot with a pinch. They're still crazy back here for the 6th spot.
It's his 6th or maybe even the 7th position right now. Hronis is going to, I think, get it around the outside. Cabot, you're seeing pretty conservative right now. He doesn't want to fight that too much, so Hronis and Ortega got by, and Cabot's just going to wait for the longer run to settle in, and he'll probably pass him right back soon enough. As you can see, all our drivers in the playoffs marked by the green spoilers, green splitters, the green banner, the 29 graphics banner, above the windshield, you could see the 17 has green. That's from Monday Night Racing. He's not a part of the playoffs, but the 71, for example, Ryan Carwile, not almost, he certainly is part of the playoffs.
Yeah, quite a few green spoilers up here in this top 10, and a guy that probably feels like he should have been in there based off of that win. 23 car Ray Massey just outside that cutoff line, but still, he's racing in 10th right now, and the 23 car had a little hiatus, had a little hiccup there in the midseason that put him back, but he got that win at Chicago, and I'm going to talk about one of the memorable moments here for SNR. Coming off of turn 4, 75 McWhorter, I believe it was Bradley was the other driver that got in the cuts up. Yeah, they just took each other out there on the last lap coming across for the line.
Yeah, and it was probably the moment of the season so far, but we still got moments left to make here. Is starting to see that 24 creep up a little bit. See him at the very back of the screen. He's actually looking under that 23 of Massey as Hronis has a little bit of a slide as pressure tires, even though they're about 4 laps, they meet up. We've got a crash. Caleb Weekly's in the wall, one of our playoff drivers involved. And it looks like Stephen Davis and Johnny Rapp got a big piece of it as well.
Two
and
cars
Justin
sideways
Ritchie.
there. That was the 66. Stefan Davis, Johnny Rapp. Doesn't look like they got heavy damage, but the 13 around here on the backstretch. What happened here, Connor?
I don't know. It looked like a stack up out of the corner. Maybe too many cars in one spot. Looks like Justin Ritchie might have gotten the worst of it. Alex Bell has some damage out of this as well as we'll look at our V-Speed instant replay. Looks like
4 wide?
4 wide. And they tried 4 wide. They didn't have room for it. Davis got a big punch in the right side from the 52 of Rapp there. It looked bigger than it might have been, but it was kind of just a squeeze. Everyone tried to go 4 wide at the very exit of the corner. It's probably the worst spot to do that. I think the 66 was the one he tried to back out because he saw what was happening. It ends up turning weakly. And you saw right there, Alex Bell got a little bit of front end damage from that.
So caution number 2 on the speedway. 3 names involved here with the 13 a Weekly, 66, the 52. A little piece of it there for Bell as well. You know, Bell, one of those chase drivers, can't afford to have a bad week, and this is not a good start here on lap 14, now to 15 as they all come down pit road.
Yeah, and even the drivers who had pit on the lap 4 caution, they'll come back down. You have 5 extra sets at your disposal, so you have enough to choose from, enough to use here. If you want to use an extra set, it's not that much of an issue yet. It's interested to see if we see drivers like the 24 maybe take fuel only, but it looks like Turner is taking tires, so it should be 4 tires for the entire field.
Little out of the ordinary here tonight, but that's fitting because we're having some experiences a little out of the ordinary. You thought it was strange here with
Sturgill.
4 wide?
I think Sturgill got him, that number 1 pit stall. We're going to see that be an advantage the entire time Sturgill's in this race.
See if we can get a blimp camera here. Get another angle of this. Right at the cone. Yeah, it's definitely going to be Sturgill there, but very close between second position there with the 9 of Klinger. Joshua Banks in the 35. Brian Chambliss there on the outside. That was a very, very close battle for second position.
Well, 4 wide on the track. We're probably going to see it on the pit exit, too. They actually, I think if they weren't ghosted because of how icing makes cars ghosted out of pit lane, if they weren't ghosted, they would have made contact. They went through each other. So a little fortunate that the 9 doesn't have pretty big left front damage. And this puts us in an interesting spot. We'll probably restart with about 82, 83 laps to go. You might see Brian Chambliss is going to maybe top off for fuel. He pulls off, but definitely puts us in an odd situation. I still don't know how long this fuel can stretch until we get a full fuel run. But this would put us, you'd have to make it about 40, 41 laps to make it on one stop from here. I would still think that's a stretch on a shortened fuel tank, though. But Chambliss might see an opportunity to make that happen, and that's why he might have just came down to top off.
So speaking of what I was going to mention there, Northern Lights set to glow amid a powerful geomagnetic storm this week. And so if you didn't see it last night, and there's a good chance you're going to see it again, I think we've seen every weird scenario that you only see once in a lifetime, all within a couple months here, Connor. And I don't know about you, man, but things are getting weird here. Kind of out of the ordinary for SNR to have 2 cautions this early in a race. I think that's part of it right there. Is that a geostorm?
He'll be part of it, no doubt about it. It's definitely one of the bigger fields we've had, but it is a big track where we should be able to get away with this. This might even be the biggest field we've had all season, even at Daytona in the next-gen cars. We only had, I say only, but we had 31 cars there. Atlanta last week we had about 33. Still upping that car count, but definitely might be a product of it, and a little bit of a product of having maybe too wide of a racetrack, if that can be such a thing. Have all these lanes, so everyone's trying to work in their own lane. Eventually on the corner exit, like we saw on our second yellow, kind of run out of that room, out of the corner, have to sort it out. If you can't sort it out in time, you can have that happen all the time.
So Sturgill back to the point where he began this race, the top 3 all back in their starting positions. Jeff Wright is up 3 to 4th. McWhorter up to 5th. Green flag is out. We're back underway for the 3rd time at Auto Club. Banks gets a good run to the inside of the 09, but a little pinch down there from Klinger. He's going to have the advantage coming off of turn 2.
I don't know if he's going to be able to clear up. I think he thought better of it. That 09 is going to have a good run down the back straightaway to get side by side, about 3 wide for the lead.
Banks not afraid to do it as they go into turn 3. He's going to dive and swoop down. Going to wash up the racetrack a little bit here, right beside Sturgill. Getting the run off the exit, and here comes Jeff Wright from 4th spot. 4 wide for the lead.
3 wide per second. Sturgill clears all of them. That did not work the way Banks wanted to. He wanted to slide up in front of the front bumper of Sturgill. Wasn't able to do it. Now he might go first to the 4th position here if he's not careful.
Going to pinch down a little bit here into the entry of 1. Tight squeeze back there. A little loose for Jeff Wright on the bottom of the racetrack. They're still going to stay 3 wide down the back straightaway. Now McWhorter's going to play his hand on the outside of the 35. Look at all the green spoilers into turn 3.
Ooh, they almost made contact. Klinger pinched the 35 a little too much there. He's loose out of the corner. McWhorter was giving him a big shove down the backstretch, but it got him too loose out of the corner. Joshua Banks powered through to get back to that 2nd position. That was pretty key. If he fell back, that would have been really bad track position-wise. They're still 3 wide for about the 7th or 8th position.
Yeah, it's Chuck Sweeting and Reggie Ortega. Angelo Horonis, 75 is going to get a good run here off the exit of the corner. Almost runs out of racetrack. There's the 24 of Bailey Turner trying to work his way back into the top 10. He does. Back up to 9th.
The strategy wasn't doing too badly as far as having fresher tires, but now the 24 is not only on even tires with everyone, he's down a set of tires, just like a few others in the field are. So we'll monitor that if that becomes an issue, but not an issue right now. He's still climbing back into the top 10 and trying to get back to Reggie Ortega to maybe get back by him as he rides behind Cabot. He's still biding his time, 20 laps in.
A lot of racing left to be done. 20 laps complete. Just under a quarter of the way through this event. Michael Sturgill gets back to the point, trying to pull away. Going to be a tall order here with the draft down the backstretch. Banks going to stay on that run and pull right back up. And that's what's so frustrating about this racetrack is you can be faster in the corners, but down these straightaways, that guy will pull right back up to your bumper.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about it. Like we said, we could see drivers pull away, but it's still going to be difficult. That draft incredibly tough to break as Sturgill's 194 into turn number 1. Banks was 195, 196 he clipped for just a moment. So that draft, even in these Xfinity cars, is still very powerful as the 48 pulled a slider on McWhorter just about for 3rd. But definitely going to be tough for Sturgill to pull away, but he's trying his best to as Cabot gets to the inside of McWhorter after just barely clearing the 2 of Ortega. He's top 7 or 8 are pretty aggressive.
Racing going on deeper in this field as well. Had some cars there on the inside and outside of each other. 71 of Carlisle just outside the top 10. He's going to get by Chuck Sweeting for 11th position. And then we go deeper into this field, side by side for 28. Johnny Rapp, he's on the inside. Robert Denton in the 93 going to fall back to 29th.
Not too far ahead of that is Alex Bell. He had damage to repair on that front end. The nose of that Supra looks okay now, but who knows how much underlying damage there could be to that Supra. He's 25th now. They're actually battling for 26. Jerry West, Bryce Shoemaker. Shoemaker's car looks pretty well repaired now, but falls back to that 27th position that the 00 had been in.
So damage early, not terrible. I mean, they had that second caution come out, probably helped the 43 get some of that repaired. So he's in a little bit better scenario. But again, it goes back to the very start of this race. You gotta have a car to finish with. And if you're less than a quarter of the way through, you gotta weigh the pros and cons of how hard do I race a guy. I think they got a little too crazy back there deeper in the field with the 4 wide off the exit.
I think so, but we seem pretty sorted right now. I noticed down the front tri-oval, pretty single file through most of the field. It took us about 4 or 5 laps. We had to get to that point first, but seems we're somewhat sorted out now as starting to see more drivers go up to that top line, mainly in 1 and 2. A lot of bumps on the top at 3 and 4. You can't run all the way next to the wall, at least not that I've seen for speed, but 1 and 2, you can be next to the wall or maybe a groove off it. You'll get a decent run as Banks is going to pull a crossover out of 2 on Sturgill. These two are going to go side by side. Jeff Wright's just going to let them battle.
Watching Banks come off of that tri-oval, it looked like he was going to carry a lot of speed here. I'm starting to notice that Sturgill a little bit off now in the longer portion of this run. Setting up for maybe a cross out of turn 4. Doesn't look like he's going to get it.
Oh, he's just barely at the left rear quarter panel. He wanted the crossover. He had to fully get out of the gas. He out of 4 to not completely slam the 35 of Banks. I don't think he's going to be willing to put a slide job on the 35 here, and Banks should be able to get the run out of the corner to clear completely for this race lead.
Good run there off the exit for the 35. He will clear the 3 car. Now Jeff Wright and the 48 is going to pull up to the back bumper. 3 car ran a limited schedule as well. There's quite a few guys up here in this top 10 that ran limited schedules. You got Adam Cabot back here in the 6th spot. He just pulls Bailey Turner around this racetrack. 2 of these guys probably would have been playoff contenders had they ran a full season.
You know, certainly got to believe so. Bailey Turner's the first driver really out as far as points goes, but not able to get in regardless, as Cabot's still content, surprisingly to me, that he's running that middle line. It's usually the one line as far as tire saving, the one line you really don't want to run, but he was almost forced to at that point. Keeps having Ortega to his outside, and Bailey Turner keeps hammering away at the inside, so it kind of keeps Cabot in a box, at least in 1 and 2. He got to the bottom there, which is where you want to be at this point in the run. Is still side by side for the lead. Sturgill got back to Banks, but couldn't complete any sort of pass.
Still very much on top of each other here for the top 10, all the way back. Probably about 16th position here, and there's the 7. He labeled it as the 30 on iRacing scoring, but that's Derek Garrison in that Chevrolet Camaro, Chevrolet-sponsored Camaro. Just behind him, Dustin Germain side by side with the 04 of Mike George into turn 3. Still very crazy and theatrical back here outside the top 10.
Now remember to check your trading paints before your league race, folks, or else that will happen to the 7/30, as I just noticed McWhorter is in the 32, but he's also a 73, so that's a little confusing as well. He was the 32 2 weeks ago. Almost certain, but not sure what happened there. Either way, he's in 4th now. Those top 3 have kind of, maybe a little bit of a gap. Not too big of a gap, but those top 3 are a little on their own. Sturgill's still working over the 35 of Banks. Well, these guys are all over each other.
That's Garrison.
Oh, that's going to be a hit.
Hard impact to the inside wall, and Jerry Bergeron off the track.
Not going to be a caution.
He's checking the steering. Looks like he's going to tow to pit road. Let's go back on the instant replay and see if we can find what happened to the 1 car.
Someone
across the nose.
Monster Energy car. That is Lee Daniel Robinson. Name new to me.
It's 27. I'd say he got tight and didn't want to brush up into the 25 on the outside there.
I think it was maybe the 22 of Pittman, or no, that was the 25/7. See, check your trading paints, folks. That was Eric Garrison. He was on the inside of. He lifted to not get into the side of him, and the 27 just couldn't lift in time. So that's a hard hit to that inside wall that one took. Even if he got it back to pit road, that thing was done, as these guys are all over each other on the back half of the field, as they're still battling for second position and the race lead. Jeff Wright just cleared Michael Sturgill for that position.
Right up next to the wall here for the 48 car. They've all migrated to wall riding, very similar to what we saw at Kansas. And this track ever adapting, a little block here by the 35. But Jeff Wright has such a good run into turn 3.
He's going to try to full send into the corner, trying to force the 35 into backing out of it. Not going to be the case. They're going to make contact out of turn number 4. You would think Sturgill might get a run out of this.
No.
They're going to make a little more contact. Sturgill does have a run on him. I don't know if he wants to take it 3 wide. I think he wants that higher line into turn 1. We'll see if the 48 tries the slider here. Yes, he is deep into the corner. Banks saw it coming, tries to back out of it. And in turn, the 48's trying to counter it by turning down the track, but Banks has the run to re-clear the 48. And now it's a 4-car battle for the lead. Here's the block by Banks, and here comes McWhorter up the middle.
McWhorter, the door almost shuts there for the 73 car. Sturgill comes up a little bit there. Now 3 wide for second position. Banks back to first. Reggie Ortega creeping up on this battle as well.
Yeah, but Ortega all of a sudden up to the 5th position. Chad Klinger and Cabot are side by side for 6th. Jeff Wright keeps it 2 wide. McWhorter has to back out, back to the top side. And Banks is also going to cover that way high side, force the 48 to the inside to take this lead away. Because if you give someone the top side, they can get such big runs, as the 48 had a moment at a turn 2, had the lift. But if you give someone that high side to get such a big run on you out of the corners, you really can't protect it. Best thing you can do for defending is ride that wall, make them go to the inside of you. But don't hit that wall, you're going to go backwards.
Sturgill kind of gets checked up there by the 2. A little early lift there for Ortega. Kind of set up the 3 car to lose a position. Excuse me, and the 09 of Klinger now to the inside. That's for the 6th spot.
Oh, Banks is way up the track. I thought he was going to hit the wall that time, but now we're starting to see about maybe 15 laps in this run, we're starting to see the entire track be used at this point. And 40.5 is the best lap I've seen from Joshua Banks. Last lap he ran a 42.1. That's 1.6 seconds of fall off in about 15 laps time, and it might keep getting worse for these drivers. That could play a factor in how you strategize this race tire-wise as well. The 09 just pancaked the wall. So did Sturgill, but they both kept it straight.
Ortega's going to get to the inside for 3rd. As you saw, the 48, we were on board with the back end of that machine. Washed up the racetrack a little bit through the exit of 4. Lost a lot of speed in the 2 car, now up to 3rd. Like you were saying with those tires, I think some of these guys that pushed the issue went maybe 2 or 3 wide, tried to get to the bottom of the racetrack. They're starting to suffer now as this run continues on. 35 laps about to be complete. Joshua Banks besting them all. He's led 24 of the 35 complete.
I'm a little surprised to see how many people are running high in 3 and 4. It's not a line I've ever seen as viable as far as actually being fast as the 09 tried to throw a block on the 17. But a lot of drivers elected to run there at least the previous lap. Is starting to see all sorts of snaking down the main straightaways. Banks trying to break that draft.
Tap it into the wall a little bit there.
Tapped it. Should be all right, I would think. That was a little bit of a scrape, but lost that position back to the 09 as the 48's starting to go backwards. 17 pulls out of the line. Reggie Ortega is still trying to keep 3rd position.
That's another frustrating part, is now that you have that draft, you can get by some of these guys, but you can't use that exit speed. You see Cabot right there. He got to the inside of Klinger. That was for the 5th position, not able to get it. A lot of races still going on back here as well, though, and this is for 20th spot. Eric Garrison, lead Daniel Robinson, 20th, 21st. Side by side as they go in to turn 1. Spread out here with Ethan Collier and Dustin Germain for 15th.
That 48 used up a lot of his stuff trying to get the race lead. He's back to 6th now behind the 17 of Adam Cabot. He's now looking to go another spot back for James Horonis to his inside. So start to see those drivers who really battled at the front early starting to fade a little bit. Banks is still in the lead. The 3 cars back to the 7th position. He's kind of going backwards with the 48.
So comers and goers here in the top 10. Biggest mover so far up in this position in the top 10 is Joseph McWhorter. He's up to 2nd spot.
Whoa, Klinger sideways. Ortega's in the wall. These guys don't have much tire left, and we still got a ways to go before we probably see these guys dive into the pits again.
And that might be part of the reason you see some of these guys fall back so deep as they're trying to nurse it back to health. You can make that right rear or that right front tire angry, but if you back it up a little bit, maybe a few laps down the road, find yourself back on the offensive side of the ball. Still a lot of racing left to be done, though, with the 09 and Klinger inside for 3rd.
Once again, trying to work that inside line. Still a few drivers down to the 48. The 24 ran down there, but it just seems so hard to keep the nose pointed when you're running the way bottom line. And you obviously don't get the run off the corner, so tough to make that work. Ortega's going to get that 3rd position. Oh, they make contact into the wall.
Klinger takes the 2 all the way out to the outside. They're going to hold on to it, but that was a close call there for Reggie Ortega and Chad Klinger. Still going 3 wide back here with Ray Massey. There's the 24 back up into 8th. It's still not over.
They're 3 wide back here. We got a battle for the race lead brewing at the same time. My goodness, that dude's got a pretty decent bit of right front damage from that.
35, Joshua Banks still holding on to the point. Car in the wall back here. Ray Massey's around.
He's going to go in the wall pretty hard. Chuck Sweeting saved it. Dakota Floyd saved it. We're going to stay green again, and this time it's Ray Massey getting the short end of the stick. That looked like a stack up after someone cleared themselves. Massey's reset to the pits. He'll probably be done. Looks like Carwell comes up, stacks things up. Ortega doesn't lift, and then Dakota Floyd had nowhere to go. And Ray Massey, another hard hit to that inside wall. Nothing he could do at that point. As Jeff Wright, I think, just hit the wall live, but he kept it straight. And it's been a struggle for the 48 all of a sudden.
Not how you want the first race of the chase to go. And we're peaking 4 wide. Klinger are going to bring it down to the pits. Bailey Turner chops the nose of Ryan Carwile for 7th. He's going to get clear, though. Now into turn 1 on the outside. 71 of Carwile back to the bottom. Turner.
This has really separated the top 3 from this battle for what's now the 4th position. I think McWhorter's a little faster than the 35 of Banks, but Adam Cabot has benefited greatly from this. He's up to 3rd. He's getting on both of these drivers now as Horonis is trying to hold on to that 4th position.
Red Camel Racing 73 all over the back bumper of Joshua Banks as they go into turn 3. Doesn't look like that bottom is as fast as it usually is. That kind of the middle to low line that a lot of guys like to run here doesn't look like it's panning out early in this run.
Looks like Justin Germain hit the pit stop, so we might start to see that cycle out a little bit. About 20-ish laps into this run, 25 laps into this run. Looks like Ortega's going to be pitting this time, which is not surprising. He has a bunch of damage. But we are starting to see that 17 come to the front ever so slightly. He was faster than the other 2 ahead of him once again, but Horonis was actually faster than all 3 of them that time by.
Lining up on the high line with Adam Cabot running in the 3rd position. Again, I'll go back and say, I'll just go back and say that it's one of those guys that if he ran full season, I know Jeff Wright, regular season champion, but every time the 17 car was out here on this racetrack this season, it was a show between Jeff Wright and Adam Cabot.
Yeah, it almost certainly always will be when these drivers get into the same race. And tonight might be no different, but this 48 is probably most we've seen him struggle at a track in a while. Somewhere where he dominated most of the race in the Gen 4 car. This Indy car not treating him exactly the same as the 17's got it on the boards in 3 and 4 as the leaders stay out once again. Banks starting to maintain a lead once again as Carwell is going to be the next leader to dive into the pits.
So some more cars coming down pit road. The 71 down to his stall. Long pit road, 55 miles per hour. And you're coming from about 194 through that backstretch and getting it woed up down to the bottom of the racetrack. It's kind of a challenging pit road in its own right. We've seen much worse. These guys doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, like you said, they've seen much more difficult pit entries, especially at Atlanta 2 weeks ago. That's infinitely more difficult. It took Warder took another swipe at the lead, the 35, but just couldn't quite do it. You got plenty of time to slow down here. It looks like more drivers pitting. The 39, Pittman's in, Kyle Peacock as well. So this is definitely scheduled stops. It's around when everyone's trying to make the fuel last too and really make the tires last, just to get on their right strategy. And we'll probably see all these drivers again at about the 70-75 mark, I would think.
Kyle Peacock in that 83. Before he came down pit road, he was up about 11 positions. So car in the wall there, it looks like can't quite get a good angle. It looks like 93. The 93. Robert Denton.
Yeah, just I don't know if he hit the wall. It just seemed like he completely missed his stall and just couldn't get into a proper position. But either way, he finally got it in there. He's going to lose some track position and time on track from that. Is still waiting on a lot of the leaders to come in. You can see the tire difference is pretty noticeable. Sturgill just blew by Joshua Banks, the race leader, about close to 2 seconds faster in a single lap.
Of course, fresh tire is going to be that way, and you'll
Especially
see that.
Here.
Yeah, I mean the difference here of over 30 laps. You're going to see almost 2.5 seconds of fall off by the end of this run. These guys stretch it out a full fuel run. It's going to be major fall off. Here's Ryan Carwile to the inside. 71 going to get his lap back. Another benefit here at Auto Club, track's big enough that you just barely go a lap down as opposed to some of the other venues we've been at.
Yeah, gaggle of cars in turn 2, though. I think Jeff Wright's one of those just letting these drivers on older tires by. He really had a bad turns 1 and 2. Turner got by. That is for position. Even with the damage from the incident down the back, Derek Garrison still a little bit faster than the 48, even with the right front dented in as it is. As leader Joshua Banks is going to be really the first main leader to come down pit road besides the 3. Comes Keith Shoemaker as well. Alex Bell comes down as well, sliding into pit entry. But he pretty sure he made it on speed pretty easily.
So the hardest part of this pit road is that it's so long and it's so easy to just accidentally go a couple miles per hour over that limit of 55. Actually, 60 miles per hour. I apologize for that. But iRacing, you know. I don't know.
It is 55.
Is it 55?
It's 55, yes.
I can never tell with these places. These places
Comes
always
Cabot.
get me.
Here comes Cabot, Horonis. I don't think there's been a... Oh, Cabot's really sliding it in. Gosh, he really tried to maximize his entrance. I don't think we've had a 60-mile-an-hour pit speed in years. I don't know why they changed that, but everything's 55 or lower. Almost every other track is. Remember when Dago, we used to pace at 80 miles an hour. Now it's 65. Takes forever. We pace at 50. What do we pace here? We pace 70 here.
Oh, I think the 24 missed his stall just by about a foot there. So he's going to get a little bit later service. Joseph McWhorter's still out on the racetrack. He's going to bring it down.
Leaves Derek Garrison on track. It looks like he is also going to bring it down. So Max Kost will be the next in line to take the race lead, and he will go at least one more lap. He'll get a lap led, one of our other other chase drivers. And we are about 32, 33 laps into this run, so Right now, he's stretching the fuel the furthest. He's doing the science for everyone else in the field, so no one else has to. Same thing goes for Johnny Rapp, Brandon Wallace, Brian Chambliss, who we saw top off for fuel at the previous yellow. He's also 4.8 seconds behind the race leader, Max Cost. Just seeing how far this fuel can go. They'd have to make it probably another 8-9 laps to make it on one less stop than the field.
On board with the number 63, still your leader. He's going to go an additional 2 laps. We're sitting at 35 on this stint. And if you can stretch it out, it could pay off. We have to wait and see if Max Cost can handle that. This could be the race that he capitalizes on making the top 12 in points. This would be the time to start winning races.
It'd be a time to just start running better in general. Top 5, just top 5 them to death, and you can be the champion. You don't have to win every race, just got to be at the front, at the finish when it matters. As we're still waiting on at least the top 7 to come down to pit road. Looks like Brandon Wallace might have just brought it down, so really the top 5 left the pit. Michael Sturgill would cycle out to be the race leader. Carwell is scheduled to be second, and Ortega is currently slated to cycle out in third, as it looks like they still got right front damage. He wasn't able to repair much under that green flag pit stop. He'll have to wait, hope for a yellow to get that, but still a ways back to the guys who were the race leaders who stayed out pretty long, like Joshua Banks, a few seconds behind currently.
That's a long stretch here for the 35, but he did stay on an additional couple laps compared to Reggie Ortega. It was about 5 exactly that he stayed out longer. A few more cars coming down pit road here. Unless I'm crazy, could have sworn I just saw 2 cars coming in.
Looked like someone came in. I know Max Cost is going to be coming in. Mark McFadden came down. He actually left the session, so another retirement. So I think he was one of those. Cost is in, Rapp is in. Those are the top 2. Chambliss, once again, he took fuel. He topped off for fuel coming to the 1 to go. So he has the most fuel out of anyone. So he will take the race lead. He's still about 15 seconds, 14 and a half seconds ahead of Chad Klinger. And I said Sturgill would cycle up be the race leader. It's actually going to be the 09. He'd pit the early set of almost everyone, but that 3 is going to catch him pretty quickly. He hit the wall on entry?
I think that might have been the car behind him there in the 28 machine.
It was
Not
tight if he
entirely
didn't.
sure.
You can tell that 3 is gaining quickly, and this has really spread everything out. There's a little bit of a gaggle of cars out of turn 2, where Jeff Wright's actually passing a number of them. Ethan Collier, Cabot, McWhorter, Bailey Turner are part of all of that. This is really the most congested pack of cars we have. Everything else ahead of this, pretty spread out. The 3 is in his own world, so is the 09. Carwell's on his own. Ortega, Joshua Banks have a bit of a gap to one another, so this is sorted things out, at least 13th ahead. It sorted things out, as it looks like Brian Chambliss is going to come down this time. Once again, he topped off on fuel, and he was able to go about 37-ish laps if he does pit here. So definitely not enough to make it on a 1 stop, but definitely going to have the freshest tires out of anyone on this run.
Well, this is the moment here. We're just past the halfway point from Auto Club Speedway. You know where that volume knob is on your smart device. Now's the time here on V-Speed from 29 Graphics. Let's get loud here for Saturday Night Racing. A lot of guys are falling out of this pit strategy. This cycle has really changed up. You see Dustin Germain in the 28. He's up 33 positions for the 28. And that is just unbelievable that a pit cycle, even though they pitted a lot earlier than the rest of this field, it doesn't look like they're falling off too bad.
Not quite yet, at least. Doesn't seem that severe. And he restarted at the beginning of this green flag run. He restarted back in about the 22nd position. So a lot of this, he was running top 10 before pit stops even happened. So a lot of this was just passing and getting through the field. So he's done a great job at this point. I don't think he's going to get the 0-9 before the 3 gets to both of them, though. The 3 has slightly fresher tires. He has kind of been stopped for at least a lap or two, but I still think he has what it takes to get by these two. And Carlisle and Banks are catching up as well, especially Joshua Banks. Much fresher tires, a half a second faster than this top 3 group the previous lap, now within 1.2 seconds.
Peeking there on the outside for the 28 of German, and Sturgill working his way closer and closer. He's bringing Carlisle and Banks up to this front point. Got an advantage of Banks of about 6-7 laps. Hronis, McWhorter, a lot of these guys outside the top 5 have much fresher tires than your leaders right now.
It's all about when they converge on each other. Looking at all these drivers' times, the 48 was still falling off around the 42.8, 42.9 range. The 3's worst times on the previous run were about 42.6s, 42.7, so there's still a bunch of fall off. It's still 2 seconds worth. But it seems like whether or not it kind of evens out is based on how bad your long run speed is. The 48s was not great. The 3's wasn't great either, but it was not as bad as the 48s. But the 35 of Joshua Banks, it seems like just wasn't as much fall off in the way he was driving his car. And it's kind of paying off now because he's able to go a little bit longer, but he was able to keep more track position in doing so, to where he might be able to get the lead pretty quickly.
See, he's creeped back up here to the back of Ryan Carlisle. Going to look to the inside here off the exit of turn 4. This is for the 4th position. Dive down to the bottom for the top 3. That's going to break up this draft that Carlisle might have had. Go back to the outside. That dirty air. Detrimental here. Even if you had the same tires, I think being stuck behind these guys is not going to help.
No, definitely not. It's going to stack things up just a little bit more, and the more time he has to take getting by all these guys, the better it's going to be for the 29 of Hronis, the 73, the 48, the 17, Bailey Turner back there. It's going to help them so much more if they can take advantage of this when they're all stacked up like this. This is the best time for them to gain time, and hope that the 35 kind of splits this group up so they're not as congested once they catch up to this battle, because now it's a 5-car fight for this race lead.
Jack Klinger still holding on to it. The 35 got to the inside of the 29, and that's what the difference in checkup between 21-lap-old tires and 14-lap-old tires looks like. Just separated there, a little tight off the exit. Klinger's going to hold on for another one.
Banks tried to throttle up big time to try to clear the 0-9, or at least get to his right rear on corner exit. He did it too much, almost put himself in the wall, and that would have been catastrophic considering the advantage he has on others on his strategy. But he at least saved the right side of his car for the time being, but it kept the 0-9 in front at least another set of corners longer. He's got to run this time.
Got a big run here coming off of turn 4. Where does he take it, though, as they start to leave Michael Sturgill and Ryan Carlisle sideways into one, almost some contact.
I don't think the 0-9 was expecting the 35 to go that hard into a corner. Hronis is going to go 3 wide for what's now the 4th position as Banks clear all the way in front of Chad Klinger for the race lead, as now 3 wide for that 4th position. Carlisle in the middle, Germain on the top, the 29, the fresher tires on the way bottom.
Hronis going to get the 2 for 1 there in the entrance of 3. Now side by side with Sturgill. But Hronis up to P3 by a nose as they come across the line.
And Klinger's able to get a pretty decent gap over the 3 in the 71. Another driver's pretty similar on his tires. So this short pit's really working out for the 0-9 for the time being, and they are probably not too far away from their final set of pit stops. Chad Klinger pit lap 41. And so really he's only about 5 laps away from his window, as him and Sturgill had to really crack the throttle to not slam the wall. Here comes McWhorter, more fresh tires. Here comes everyone on fresh tires. The 48's not too far behind as 29's up to second.
3 wide here off the exit of turn 4. McWhorter on the bottom. Carlisle gets tight. You heard that lift there by the 09. That's just a matter of the front end does not want to turn anymore. It's called understeer, and they had a lot of it here in the long run. Of course, you know, Klinger is on his long run at this point. 24 laps. That's about the amount of time he was out here the last time before he hit pit road.
Yeah, matter of fact, it was really almost exactly that amount of time. So you'd almost argue he might have to pit here, but that would give him about 34, 35 laps to get to the end on a tank of fuel, and I'm not sure if that's possible because the only reason we saw the 9 go that far was because he topped off. 09 doesn't have the ability to do that, plus he's still nursing right side damage from the contact with Ortega. So he's still probably got to stretch this at least 4 more laps, as he's going to battle McWhorter as much as he can, though.
You don't want to give anything up and sell yourself short here for the end of this race. We have just over 30 laps to go for chase race number 1. Saturday Night Racing has put on a great show thus far this season. It's been amazing to watch. Hope you guys have enjoyed the action. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race. We have Jeff Wright, the playoff or the chase leader, won the regular season points, comes in with 5 victories, having a struggle here today just inside the top 5 finally for the 48 car.
He has struggled a little bit. Klinger's in the wall. The 48 almost followed him up there. That'll give the 3 a big run, but it's not been the more dominant battling for the lead type of Jeff Wright we're used to seeing. He battled for the lead earlier, but unlike what we usually see from him, the tires, he really just wasn't able to keep up the pace. Fell back in the backside of the top 10. But with the strategy he's played, pitting a little later than everyone else, it seems like now it's starting to pay off as he's up into the top 5 within 1.2 seconds of that race lead. And more importantly, he's starting to clear that 09 of Chad Klinger, who's starting to fall off pretty tremendously. As here comes Cabot to the front. Bailey Turner's not too far behind as well. We're 3 wide for about this 5th position now, as Hronis still trying to chase down Banks. Cabot to the outside of Chad Klinger. Just barely. That was tight. That 35 getting closed in on a little bit.
Holding on to it here for the 17 of the second freshest tires of this top 10. Jeff Wright, 19 laps as well. The Cabot, Wright, both on the same strategy. 3 wide here off of turn 2. 09 of Klinger. I mean, he's doing a heck of a job for having as old of tires as he does to hold on to this top 10. He's sitting pretty. He could short pit these guys a little bit. He might be able to hold on to the win.
We'll see how much he wants to short pit by this time. I don't think it's working out too well as far as race win goes, but as far as holding on to his top 10 position, it's worked for the time being, even with the damage. So all good so far. You got a good view of the Michael Sturgill Twitch page as a block in the background. Bailey Turner forcing his way to the outside of Ryan Carlisle. That's for the 8th position. 24 is another driver. He just hasn't been able to battle for the lead as much as we might see in other races, as we're starting to see that lead battle get closer and closer. Hronis gained a 10th. I think McWhorter's a little faster than both of them right now.
Max Koss going to bring it down pit road. He'll start the herd down for what would be the final pit stops of the night. You can make it from here on out. This will be 30 laps here for Koss. He misses his stall just a little bit there, but this could start the flood.
Here comes
for some
Carlisle.
of these guys. Here we come. 71 down pit road.
This is no surprise. He was struggling a little bit, so seeing him short pit, trying to get the track position, no surprise here. McWhorter cleared a second. He just passed Hronis out of turn number 4. He got a great run, kind of on the bottom, really. Just drove the bottom. Fresher tires just by a little bit over the 29 was enough to get him in a runner position. I think he's the most challenge that Joshua Banks will see for the rest of this race, besides maybe that 48, because you never count out Jeff Wright, but that 73 looks strong. Or the 32, I guess, whichever you prefer.
73 all season long there for that driver, and he wanted to come in here today and capitalize, but all the guys that he's trying to get ahead of in points are racing right next to him. You got Jeff Wright, you got Joshua Banks, these guys that are up here in the top 3 in points. I mean, McWhorter, he needs a day that these guys just have a bad one, and it hasn't came in here yet, even in the regular season.
Had contact out of 4. Alex Bell got into the 39 of Ethan Collier. They made contact. The 39 was slow, but they kept it straight for the time being. I think what's really benefiting McWhorter here, he's about to go for the race lead, as we're going to look at this contact. 73 is not to the inside quite yet, but I think what's benefiting McWhorter is that he didn't have to battle those guys as hard. It looked like 39 kind of came down the track there a little bit. But McWhorter didn't really have to battle that gaggle of cars that were on older tires like Joshua Banks did. It's very possible Banks really hurt his tires having to do that. And it's ended up paying off in McWhorter's favor that he's been able to catch all these guys, not have to work as hard to pass them. Now he has much fresher tires to fight with this lead.
Well, and if you hadn't noticed there, for the past 20 or so laps, we had the Get Loud graphic up on the screen. Make sure you check out 29 Graphics. And new sponsor here for SNR. I don't know if you noticed that or not, Connor, but it was up there for quite some time.
I did.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, man. It didn't really get in the way of the action. Would never do that. There's someone else in the background pit. Dustin Germain, he was on much older tires. Chuck Sweeting slides in the pit entry. I believe he got it woed down. So those drivers who pit a little earlier than everyone else paid the price at the end of the run. Now, once again, trying to undercut, get the track position for a late race surge to the finish. Oh, Jeff Wright's in the wall. Carwell's passing. He's also going to try to get the advantage on all these guys. Veronis dove to the bottom. He goes, oh, the 17 up the middle. He almost had to lift out of it. That was incredibly tight. This is all for third position as they're almost side by side for the race lead.
So when do these guys come down pit road? I mean, you can see some of the struggles in handling. I think the time that you've lost here for Jeff Wright, it might be beneficial for you to come down a little earlier than last time. I know that the 48 a little off, but I think you can kind of force their hand here.
I think so too. I think if I see Jeff Wright struggling like that, I would assume he's going to have to come down soon. He's really sliding out of the corner. I don't want him to get track position in front of me. I don't want to give him clean air. So if I think he's going to pit. I'd almost want to consider pitting. Oh, Banks almost made contact. McWhorter and him did make contact. 73 kind of drove him up the racetrack to get the race lead away there. I'll drive right. I'd almost pit now. As a matter of fact, Cabot sees that. Bailey Turner, they see that. They're going to pit.
Oh!
Cabot slid too much. That's got to be a speeding penalty. I don't know if Turner sped. I was about to say that's the perfect opportunity to pit when you see him mixing it up, slowing each other up like that, but I think the 17 might have hurt himself bad.
Oh, man, what a send there from the 35. A crossover here from McWhorter. Car down on the bottom of the racetrack, and that crossover works to a T. McWhorter back to the point. We missed it there where there was contact, but that set up that pass in 3 and 4.
I feel like one of them's got to undercut the other here. It's going to be Banks. And by the way, Cabot did not get speeding for that, so that's one of the best pit entries I've seen. But Banks gets the crucial undercut for this potential run to the finish. Everyone else came down seemingly at the front besides Joseph McWhorter, and he worked so hard to get the race lead away that he's going to clearly lose it right away. And at this point, he might have to go long just to get the tire advantage.
How's it going to shake out here? Does the 73 pull it down pit road? He's got guys behind him that pitted a lot earlier than he did.
There's no way he pits from the middle lane. So he's going to go at least one more lap, get a little bit more fresher tires. Stephen Davis in behind pits. Really not waiting on anyone else in the field to pit either. Johnny Rapp, Ryan Chambliss, Caleb Weekly. That's about it, as Michael Sturgill's off and away. Don't know if he got a penalty or not, but he's much further back, I thought, than he was. But maybe he just undercut. He's trying to go to make a pass. Banks is trying to make a pass as well. The 48 got out ahead of the 35 of Banks. I don't even know how that even happened.
Yeah, racing off of pit road.
Oh, man.
And a little contact there as they go into 3. They're going to be 3 wide with the leader. That's McWhorter on the outside. I think he's trying to navigate to the pits. He will get down there.
Boy, that's risky pitting from the top like that. But it looks like Banks is going to get back by the 48. I don't think Banks had a good entry to his pit stall, but he was able to get it back on the pit exit. That was really, really important pass for him to make there. But he's still going to have to get by Cabot and Bailey Turner.
Those drivers just ahead of him here. Chuck Sweeting also kind of on this weird strategy. How about the 75 working his way up here? He could cycle through to the top 5.
Let's see how long that lasts. We're going to get the 73 out of his pit stall with about 21 laps to go. So It's all what you could really all you consider is as a mad dash to the finish, and that's exactly what it's going to be. But McWhorter's tires aren't going to be that much fresher. He's going to have a lot of work to do. There goes everyone else he's going to be battling. The 24-17, everyone behind them. Coronis and Robinson go by. I haven't talked about the 27. But he's been pretty all right tonight. Chad Klinger's a little further back as well. It looks like McWhorter's going to get passed by the 09 and maybe even the 3 as well.
A couple lap advantage. Maybe not going to be good enough with only 20 to go this time around. Bailey Turner, Adam Cabot. They get up front. Dustin German. He's holding on to it for now, but, you know, much older tires than the guys that are behind him. Talking about 6 laps for the 28 machine. He will get this time by. Johnny Rapp still out there on the racetrack, of course, with Ryan Chambliss, Caleb Weekly, Ryan Carlisle. But Dustin Germain, if he can hold on to it here, will cycle out. So we have a few cars left out on the racetrack. Ryan Carlisle actually pitted before German did.
Lap
very
70.
early. So he's actually way ahead.
Yeah, he's going to have to really stretch these tires. They are catching them pretty quickly. Even the 28's going to be catching them pretty quickly. It's a 2.5-second gap. Best friend for the 71 is a 28. And he just really wants them all to battle amongst themselves for the time being, but who knows how hard they're going to battle when they know it's not for the race win. But that 71 got the pit road before everyone else, hoping for all them to mix it up, or he might be hoping for a late yellow as well as Caleb Weekly, who hasn't pit yet, really slid out of turn 2 there. As here comes Adam Cabot. He's been laying low this entire race, but he might have a good chance to steal this race win, but Joshua Banks is not too far behind.
24, Bailey Turner peaks it 3 wide into turn 3. 17 gets clear. 24 is going to follow suit. He's down on the bottom through the tri-oval. 35 going to peak 3 wide into turn 1.
This is the battle for the win right here. 4 cars under blanket. Who does the 17 block? I think he wants the high side, so he's going to block Turner in a little bit. Here comes Banks. A big slide jump into turn number 1 this time. He's going to try to make it stick. Cabot's going to try to keep it around the outside. They might make contact. They didn't. They're 3 wide again.
And that big send there from the 35 might have used up those tires just a little bit, and that's what Ryan Carlisle wants to see. These guys mix it up 3 wide. That's buying him a little bit of time.
Now this time Banks really sent it on the entry on the outside of turn 3, but he didn't roll through the center the way he wanted to, but now he's going to get that run out of the corner. But the 17, he dips down trying to give the 24 the draft to keep him side by side. Not going to work quite as well, as now it's 5 cars under a blanket. Jeff Wright's there all of a sudden. Banks might put the bumper to the 17 to Cabot. Here comes the over-under. They're almost pushing 4 wide out of turn number 2 as Dustin Germain falls off this battle.
48 of Jeff Wright was all the way down on the white line, touched the apron, trying to get that car to rotate.
Here we
Pass
go.
for the 4th spot. Banks going to try it again.
He might have enough this time. I don't think Cabot can stick it around the outside. He might try the crossover, though. Watch this block. Banks got the bumper from the 17. It ruined Cabot's momentum. They might make contact. I don't think Cabot's going to appreciate that. We might see another big slider here, as here comes Turner and Jeff Wright. They're going to be side by side for what would cycle out to maybe be the battle for the 3rd position if they can get to those other cars. Cabot's going to slide him here. Just barely. Banks has to lift. Oh, they contact! The 17 gets turned. And he missed the inside wall somehow. And for the 3rd time this race, we see another incident down there where they'll stay green. They look like blocking gone wrong to me. And that puts Jeff Wright ahead of all of those guys. He got by Turner and then got by this battle. We'll see. Right here, Cabot tries a slide job. He tries to block the 35. It just wasn't possible at 35. Too much of a run. Cabot was very lucky to not hit the wall. And meanwhile, while this has happened, the 71's been caught pretty quickly, Bradley. And all of a sudden, Jeff Wright's in the driver's seat for this.
Just like that. I mean, can it go any better for Jeff Wright here? I mean, he's been struggling on handling for a lot of this day, but now finds himself up on the point because 2 of the guys that were probably going to keep him from getting the win. I mean, don't count out the 32 of McWhorter. Something could still happen here with a caution, but I mean, wow, just the 48 finding his way up here into the top 2 in the closing laps of this race. Of course, Johnny Rapp still out here 4 seconds ahead. Can he make it on fuel? That's doubtful. I think he's waiting on a yellow, and it's probably not going to happen.
If it was going to happen, it would have been down the backstretch, but every single incident down there goes to the apron. It does not trigger the yellow from iRacing. We could have had 3 yellows if that was the case, but not quite to be, as now Jeff Wright fully in control of this race. Bailey Turner, I think, a little slower at this point. He's now lining up to run second. Now Joshua Banks, after all that, trying to regroup, and he's going to have to pass these guys again.
You're going to start seeing some desperations, some Hail Marys. Going to send it into the corner a little bit deeper. 35 way up on the racetrack. Not going to get quite the run that I think he expected to get. But Bailey Turner is going to be under fire for this 3rd spot very soon.
The 35 is going to give him hell. There's no doubt about that. We're waiting on McWhorter to get up there. He's about 3 seconds off the race lead. Actually, scratch that. It's only about 2 seconds off what would cycle out to be the race lead, as Banks with the crossover. Turner down the side, draft him and try to prevent this slide job, but you can't prevent that. I think the 35 is still faster, but he's got to time this perfectly. You see, he's trying to counteract the crossover from Bailey, but you just can't do that when you're fired into the corner too far. And now they're going to be side by side again, and Turner's probably going to give him the same business back. This is exactly what McWhorter wants. He's caught a lot in the past 5 laps.
Exactly what he needs here is the 35 and the 24 duke it out. Turner going to slide up in front of Banks. Banks gets to the inside. Not going to have enough momentum there as the 24 slides up just across that nose, crossing the line for lap 89. 11 laps to go.
He's pretty much Jimmy Johnson's rear gunner. They're going to touch doors again at this point, but he is really letting that 48 get away from this battle for second. I think the 35 faked the slide job there, but the 24 is still going to have enough of a run to get back to his inside. 35 tried to block it, couldn't quite make it work, and Turner's going to be once again back to the inside.
Racing hard here for what would be second position when these all cycle out. 1.2 seconds back from Johnny Rapp and the 52 machine. Another crossover here off of 4.
I think this might be... Oh, they hit hard that time. That seemed awfully aggressive that time. I don't know if that was a mistake on Bailey or he's really trying to slow up to 35, but could not hold Banks back that time. And all of a sudden, McWhorter's clear of Hronis, and he's all of a sudden at the back bumper for the second position. This might work out. He's only a second behind Jeff Wright.
10 laps to go when they cross the stripe here. Jeff Wright still 7/10 out of the lead. They're going to catch up to Johnny Rapp, who's been waiting on a caution. It will not happen. He pulls down pit road. 52 coming to get fuel to make it to the end of this race. McWhorter to the inside for what would be 3rd now.
And this is going to be interesting. I think McWhorter can win this race, but it's all about how quickly he can dispatch the 24 and the 35. Banks worked that hard to just get to the second position again. I don't think he's going to let the 32 go by lightly, but I don't know how much grip he has to fight Joseph McWhorter here.
I don't think he has enough tires. This 73 machine stretching it out a couple more laps than the rest of this field. Pinch into 3. That's going to be tough to hold off.
You see the 73, just a lot more grip out of the corner, but Banks pinching him there into the corner. It didn't let McWhorter fully send it like he wanted to, so did not help McWhorter out. He wasn't able to clear the 35, and Banks is trying to not let him go. He's trying to side draft the 73 of McWhorter, but honestly, if I'm Joshua Banks, I want him to try to mix up with Jeff Wright. I think in Banks' case, he has a better chance of winning this race if those two battle for the win. In case you remember, Chicagoland, we saw 3rd place in a great position. So honestly, if I'm Banks, I think you have no choice but to let him try to battle that 48 out and hope it works out in your favor.
Jeff Wright getting the first couple laps led of the race today. A little out of the ordinary here for the 48, but he's up in the front. He's at the point when it counts the most. This is where, if he can hold on, he'll be victorious. Ray, there's not a caution, though. This would shake things up. Jeff Wright just half a second ahead. Joseph McWhorter catching up quick.
And everyone has a set of tires left, so almost certainly everyone, 27 drivers, on the lead lap, everyone would have to come down for a set of at least 2 tires.
Oh, Jeff Wright got really tight there out of 2.
McWhorter's got a big run. Jeff Wright is going to try to fight this as hard as he can, but at the same time, he's got to think a little bit big picture. He don't want to throw away a second place finish possibly and turn it into a 22nd place finish. He's got to drive as smart as he can, but you got to at least fight this as much as you can, but I just don't think he has much to fight with.
Joshua Banks is able to get up to 3rd. There's the 52 that pitted a little bit later than the rest of his field. Of course, not going to have enough time to get back up here into the top 10, but he does have much fresher tires than the rest of these guys. Couple cars a lap down to the inside. This is another factor here for Jeff Wright. He's got to navigate this traffic.
I'm kind of surprised he's given a 73 the top to get the run out of the corner. He had the lift once again there. In the 73, he's going to have a push from Johnny Rapp to go along with the run.
To the inside for the lead. Contact. Yellow's out.
Alex Bell and Reggie Ortega crashed in turn 3. Just as Jeff Wright was about to lose the lead, the caution comes out. And these two have clashed before. I can't believe what timing. These two have clashed in the past. Well, we'll see what happened on the V-Speed Instant Replay. This just changed everything, and that was, for lack of a better term, a little ugly. Ortega turned him down the straightaway. I can't believe the timing of that yellow. And let's see, we'll get a better view of this, Bradley. This is, he just kind of turns him. I can't imagine, I don't know why that would have been done intentionally, but there's definitely didn't look nice, as the leaders were almost dead even when the pace car's lights came on. Just kind of comes up in the bell. It's all Reggie, I'm afraid, and he got the worst of it for sure. I think when the yellow came out, Josh McWhorter was actually in the lead, but because of how iRacing scoring loops work, the 48 was able to keep the race lead. But in reality, this doesn't matter because this puts it in a green-white checkered, possibly a green-white checkered scenario. We might see all sorts of strategy here.
I mean, that's close right there. I mean, we can back that up one more time. Let's look at it here from the start cam.
I mean, this was the race right here. 73 gets by, this race is over. So it looks like everyone comes down the pit.
That's close, man.
Everyone comes down the pit. But what will the call be? Mike George pit too. He was not supposed to pit with the leaders. So that will mix things up a little bit. This is almost certainly a green-white checkered. I'd be shocked if we didn't see one driver try 2 tires. We had 26 lead lap cars. Absolutely no one stayed out.
I think if you're 7th, 8th place on back, 2 tires, definitely a possibility. McWhorter's going to be out of his box here. Jeff Wright going to be side by side. McWhorter's going to win the battle off of pit road.
Doesn't look like we saw some 2 tires. Trejo gets out 3rd. Pushes Banks back to 4th, but we didn't really see anyone risk 2 tires as much. A little surprising. But that is huge for McWhorter to get the lead off the pit road, to make that pass on pit entry, or on pit exit. That could be the race right there. When you only have 1 restart, you get the jump out in front. That might be all McWhorter needs.
Well, perfect opportunity here as we go into overtime for Saturday night racing. We'll take a quick commercial break. We haven't done it all race long, so here's our opportunity. We'll be back. Uninterrupted coverage continues here on V-Speed right after this.
Lap traffic out of the way. It's between these two. They're even for the white flag lap.
This race still very undecided.
Bradley had the lift. Big run for McWhorter. This is going to be his chance.
They're running out of time, and they know it.
Lovato surges to the inside, now pulls even with Hutton off of turn number 2.
900 horsepower at their feet.
That was a huge run for Bradley. He got back the advantage, but here comes a big dive. McWhorter might just try to run him out of room here. Oh, he put him in the wall. They're going to crash. They both crash. Here comes Ray Massey. Ray Massey's going to win it.
Back live on V-Speed Saturday Night Racing into overtime at Auto Club. Joseph McWhorter wins the battle off of pit road. He will lead them into turn 1. Connor Horn, Bradley Cooper up here in the V-Speed booth. Tonight, it's another great one, another barn burner. I mean, just the action for Jeff Wright. He got the lead, but he wasn't going to hold on to it much longer there, Connor. It's come down to the wire now with everybody getting 4 tires in the front row.
Everyone on 4 except at least Eddie Trejo. He got the 3rd with a 2-tire call. Not a green, white checkered attempt. This is in regulation, so if we get a yellow, this race is not over.
We will have 3 attempts at it here tonight, but McWhorter, he wants to get to that white flag into the restart zone. Big jump here for the 73. Green flag is out. Let's see if he can hold on to it. 30-plus cars into turn 1.
48 didn't really go there. He went across the apron to do the tire warm-up cheese a little bit there. He cleared for second. Banks might be a big player here to try to maybe have a run for the win as well. Trejo struggling on 2 tires. So is Cabot. The 48's got a run here down the back.
He's going to send it to the inside, to the outside. There's the 35 of Banks, the driver that dominated the day. But up on the high line, Jeff Wright going to come out of turn 4. Will they make it to the white flag? Almost some contact. Jeff Wright sideways. What a save there. White flag's out.
What a save. Look at the run Hronis has on everyone here. That might be the gap McWhorter needs. They're crashing. Chuck Sweeting had a terrible crash entering turn number 1, but we are still under the white flag. Wright's to the inside of McWhorter. Can he hold it at a 2? He cannot.
He's going to have one more try at it. One more set of corners for the 48. Can McWhorter hold on to it?
I think he might have to use the bumper, and I just don't think that's something Jeff Wright does. It's going to be a big send to the inside. McWhorter gave him the lane. Banks went for the big send as well. It's not going to be enough.
And off of turn 4 for a win in the first race of the chase. Joseph McWhorter is victorious at Auto Club.
Banks goes around after the caution. After the checkered flag, and it's a melee into turn number 1. What a finish.
It all came down to just 3 laps there for the 73. He led 10 laps here today of the 100 scheduled. What a finish there for the end of this event. Let's back it up here.
That was crazy. Jeff Wright gets across the apron, tried to warm up the tires a little bit. That's a little bit of an iRacing glitch. It's actually not allowed in the Coke Series, but under green, I think all bets are off. McWhorter, he doesn't really go all the way to the bottom here, which I'm kind of surprised by, because it lets Jeff Wright get this huge run off of turn number 2 and get to his rear bumper to have a shot to get to his right rear entering turn number 3. He has to block right there. He gets to his right rear, and I think at this point, McWhorter's in trouble, and I think what really saves him this race win is Banks trying to push the exit to get alongside Jeff Wright. Makes contact right there. 2 incredible saves, especially by the 48, but it knocked just enough momentum off those 2 where they couldn't get back there. And then in the back, Chuck Sweeting and Eddie Trejo made contact. Wow. They had a horrible hit on the pit wall. It's just kind of that season for Chuck Sweeting. And then Jeff Wright, he's trying to recover on those tires after having a big slide. He had 2 shots to the inside. He just couldn't quite do it. As we'll look, it looked like Sweeting and Trejo, they kind of came together, and that's probably the worst angle you could hit. 75 took 2 huge hits there. I'm not sure who the yellow car was that hit him, but that's at least the second time on a late race restart where Chuck Sweeting's been the odd man out in a crash that does not bring out the yellow. And then into turn 3, McWhorter has enough of a gap he can afford to give the 48 that inside line because he's almost certain Jeff Wright will not rough him up to get a race win, and that's exactly what happened. Wright went for it, couldn't quite make it work, and they were all banging off each other down out of turn 4, but Turner just held on, I think, to that 5th position. And then, well, you know what happens after these races.
I mean, at that point. Oh, man. Well, it was fire. Is that what the kids say these days?
Sure. It works.
I mean, what a finish, though. I mean, McWhorter, he was up there. He was on the strategy. I think even if this race stayed green, I think the 73 had a really good chance of being here in victory lane. So it's good that he won that battle off of pit road. And I know for a lot of these guys, it was one of those struggle nights, especially for the 48 team. So you got to capitalize when those guys have those off days. Unfortunately for McWhorter, this is a win that doesn't do too much here. It is a victory nonetheless, not to take anything away from him, but he's got a long way to go to get up ahead of that 48 and that 35. Burning it down here on the front stretch, post-race interviews with your top 3. Final results going to come up on your screen. We're going to take that official commercial break here for Saturday Night Racing League live on V-Speed.
What a finish.
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs.
From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items.
Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
In the heartland of our country, something magical is happening. At Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes, we know the power of community, of hands coming together to create wonders. These costumes are symbols of love, compassion, and inclusion. Your hands can craft dreams. Join us at Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes build events and be a part of something extraordinary.
Introducing Tractor USA, the best way to buy and sell premium ag and construction equipment. Tractor USA was designed to be straightforward, simple, and affordable with zero commission and live auctions every week. Tractor USA auctions offer the finest selection of pre-owned tractors, combines, and other ag and construction equipment from across the United States and the world. Simply go to TractorUSA.com to get started today.
Back live from Auto Club Speedway. Saturday Night Racing League has concluded its 100 laps. We didn't quite make it to overtime. You see 100 out of 100 there on the board, Connor. We were close to a green-white checkered. It was kind of a naturally occurring one, I believe. Based off of my lap counter. But final results coming up on the screen. Joseph McWhorter, who started in 13th position after 3 cautions and 12 lead changes here today at the 2-mile oval. He will be victorious. Jeff Wright making the best out of the situation. He found the lead there at the end. He's going to come home second, just behind. Angelo Horonis benefits from that contact and that late run there. The 35 of Joshua Banks really wide out of turn 4. He's going to go back to 4th. Then it's Bailey Turner, Chad Klinger, Michael Sturgill, who started on the pole in 7th. Adam Cabot is going to finish 8th. Dustin German in 9th. And the 30 of Derek Garrison. How about that? 20 positions gained, 26 gained for Dustin German. Big movers at the end of the top 10.
And there's a lot of big movers around this top 10, top 15 area. One of them, Lee Daniel Robinson, he started 32nd, so he actually went up plus 21. He got up to the the 11th position. Ryan Carwell, not sort of the same thing for him. He probably ran better than 12th. In fact, he did, but he only gets a 12th place tonight. 13th place, Eric Garrison, 33rd to 13th. And just barely beat Gavin Pittman at the line for that position. Pittman 14th. Bryce Shoemaker, he was the first caution tonight, but he recovered for 15th. Dakota Floyd, also a part of some bumping and banging tonight, recovered for 16th. Brian Chambliss topped off early in this race after the second yellow of the night. He never really recovered track position-wise from that. 17th for him. Max Koss, not the race he needed tonight. He actually lost to Chambliss tonight by 3/1000ths of a second. He finishes 18th position. Brandon Wallace, quiet night for him. 99, finishes 19th. And Ethan Collier, he had some contact with the 15 at one point. He started 20th and he finished 20th.
Working on down for 21st position. Kyle Peacock is going to bring it home in the 83 machine. Johnny Rapp, who pitted very late here, will finish 22nd. Jerry West in 23rd. Caleb Weekly, he has good qualifying. Gotta have to put it together here as he made the top 12. Not a good day for him in 24th. That would be Keith Shoemaker, and the number 31 will come home in 25th. Robert Denton, first car a lap down. Actually, it's Keith Shoemaker, first car a lap down. Chuck Sweeting is in that mix somewhere. My scoring and what iRacing has there with the 75 showing him in 28th. There's Eddie Trejo in 27th. Alex Bell, tough day for him in the 15. And then Mike George rounding out 30th position. 6 more cars here on the results page. You have Reggie Ortega, who got into contact with Alex Bell there and got pretty much the worst end of the stick. He will come home 31st. Then it's Stefan Davis, Mark McFadden. Some of these cars out of the race here tonight. Ray Massey, Jerry Bergeron, and Justin Ritchie. A lot of cars that got sent to that inside wall without the caution coming out. So unfortunate day for those guys. But race recap up there on top of your screen doesn't quite do it justice because we saw a lot of guys here tonight that we're not used to talking about up towards the front. It was a fun race overall. Let's get down there track side where we have Connor Horn. He is caught up with the 29, your third place finisher, Angelo Horonis.
I did catch up with Angelo. I actually went to Joshua Banks first because I thought Joshua Banks finished third because he was third that entire last 2 laps. But no, Angelo, you were able to get third at the line there coming out of turn number 4. Didn't lead a lap, but you were top 5 a lot of the race. You had your moments catching the leaders, but you just didn't seem to quite have enough to battle for the race win. What more did you need?
I mean, pace-wise, I was kind of surprised how pretty decent I was in the long run. That right before that caution came out, all our tires were pretty much even aside from the 73 since, yeah, I think he put like a lap or 2 later than us, but I don't know. I feel like I was able to conserve my tires a lot better than expected. And I feel like if we had maybe 1 or 2 more laps there at the end, probably could have made it interesting for the win, but I can't really complain with a P3.
You definitely can't really complain, especially since you came home with a clean Toyota Supra. A lot of drivers had some beating and banging tonight. You really weren't a part of much contact tonight. We have a very wide racetrack, but all these drivers seem to always come close to each other to beat and bang at a 2-mile racetrack. How tough was it today to not make contact with our drivers? Because it seemed like there was a lot of contact going around, but you're able to keep level-headed the entire race.
Well, a lot of the guys that we were racing with up front, I would say we were clean for the most part. I mean, I know we had a few close calls. Pretty sure some of us were 4 wide at one point, and Spotter was a little too late to call it out. So I don't know. I just trust a lot of these guys' judgment, and yeah, it was pretty fun racing for the most part. I was pleasantly surprised.
Definitely looked like fun racing, and we got a fun race, a fun broadcast because of it, and you get a top 3 out of it after having a great run altogether. So congratulations to you. Another solid top 5 for you. Anyone you want to shout out, sponsors, friends, anyone in general?
Yep, just all my teammates, whether it's this league or any other, always racing with them and love doing that. You guys for putting on a good broadcast, everyone that comes out for these races, and the sponsors that help put this all together.
Angelo Horonis, third top 5 of the season. I believe the 6th top 10 of the season. Congratulations, Angelo. Thanks for talking to us.
All right, thank you.
just going to move right on down, or should I say right on up. Bradley Cooper, you're down there in second place. You're there with Jeff Wright, who came oh so close to stealing a victory in classic Jeff Wright style.
Yeah, I am caught up with Jeff Wright. I know that today was a little bit of a struggle. It looked like the multi-groove racing, it was kind of all over the place. The high line worked and then it didn't. Dirty air really overall was the kind of the deciding factor. But Jeff, you found yourself there in the lead towards the end of this race, a little bit of strategy. I don't know what your opinion is, but it just looked like the 48 team was a little off today. Still a great day, but what more did you need there to stay in the lead?
Yeah, we kind of got to the lead. It was kind of gifted to us, actually. I mean, with Banks and Adam Cabot got together a little bit, so that even put us in a spot to even have a chance at it. I knew McWhorter was coming quick. He was really good long run all race long. So he had the 1 lap tire advantage, but I think even without the tire advantage, I think he was just probably the best guy in the long run tonight. So I really wasn't sure if we were going to be able to hold him off. So the fact that we got that caution, I was like, well, now we at least have a chance. We can pit, we get some tires, but it just wasn't enough. Yeah, we didn't quite have the speed that the 73 had tonight. So to get second place and, not lose a whole lot of points to him is big. But yeah, really tonight, we just couldn't quite get it dialed in like we can sometimes. So I just couldn't get comfortable out there. So for whatever reason, but big congrats to Joseph. That's a big win for him. I even told him before the race that I thought he was going to have a really good chance to win tonight, and here he is. So, yeah, big congrats to Joseph.
Yeah, we'll work those into the V-Speed odds. And not to take anything away from you, Jeff. I mean, you've had a great season, 5 wins in the regular season, coming home second in the first race of the chase. It's still a great weekend for you. And, I mean, going into these next few races, you're kind of the guy to beat overall. The confidence level's got to be pretty high.
Yeah, it is. And, we're going to some tracks that we really like to later this season. So we got a pretty good points lead thanks to some of those bonus points to start the chase. Obviously, Joseph's going to eat into that lead a little bit with him winning the race today. North Wilkesboro, I think it's going to be really interesting. I have no idea what we're going to expect there here in the B car. We've been getting really good field sizes too, so it might be really crowded. It's going to be a tough race for sure. So I think staying out of trouble is going to be the key at North Wilkesboro. So we'll go there. We'll give it all we can. Try to compete for a win if we got the speed to do it. I know we got a lot of good short track guys in here, though. Bailey Turner comes to mind. Angelo with the top 3. He's really good short tracks, and what a run for him this evening. So it's not going to be easy, but I think we're going to try to go there, stay out of trouble, and hopefully exit North Wilkesboro with the points lead.
And the green spoiler on that machine, the 48, who's been pretty dominant all season long. Jeff Wright, anybody come to mind that's behind that 48 to put it up here in the top 3?
Just big thanks to everybody involved, all the co-league admins, Chad Klinger, Bryce Shoemaker, Brian Chambliss, Reggie, for all they do, helping put this league together and running this thing. Big thanks to all of our sponsors to help put this thing on, 29 Graphics, Tractor USA, Clark Print Shop, and Walk and Roll Costumes, as well as the rest of our members that have donated financially to help us do these things. So we couldn't do it without them. And then obviously a great broadcast team with you and Connor Horn up in the booth as always. So yeah, just big thanks to everybody.
We thank you for your time. We thank you for the compliments and appreciate the opportunity. Great coverage here for Saturday Night Racing League. Tripping over my words.
And if I could real quick, Bradley, and if I could, shout out to Grandma Weekly, because I've been telling Caleb I'm going to give her a shout out on one of these interviews sometimes. And I just remembered. So big shout out to one of our best supporters. Yeah, I mean, she's tuning in to these races every single week. So we just appreciate her and all her support for this league.
We appreciate it as well. Here at V-Speed, shout out GMAW Weekly. And thank you, Jeff Wright, man. I know this one tastes a little weird, but I think looking back, it could be one of those defining races for that championship.
All right, guys, thanks.
So here we go, moving on down to victory lane. Connor Horn has caught up with your winner in the 73. That's Joseph McWhorter.
I am down here, McWhorter. Joseph, big celebration to start the chase, as I can imagine. You led 10 laps, but kind of, I wouldn't say you definitely weren't gifted it, but you definitely kind of had it in your sights under green. Yellow comes out, slows things down. You probably get upset, but you won the race off pit road. What were you focused on that final sprint to the finish to keep the 48 and 35 behind you?
Um, I don't know. I was so dejected whenever that caution came out. I was like, God, his luck is gonna help him yet again, because I knew I had him. I had a little bit better tires. I was definitely better on speed than him all night. So as soon as it came out, I was kind of cussing and a little bit upset. And then I took a big deep breath and I was like, all right, let's just hit this pit stop and set it up real quick. Let's just nail this, see if we can't get the lead on that. And then it's just hit your marks after that. And I was a little worried at first because I wasn't expecting Jeff to get that huge run on the high side like he did going in through 3 and 4. And I was able to clear him. And then about that time, him and Josh made contact. And I was like, okay, do not give him the high side again.
Yeah, definitely didn't seem like you were going to make that mistake again. And very clearly only gave him the lane to the bottom in the final lap in turns 3 and 4. But definitely a crazy finish. A little bit of a crazy race. You stayed out a little longer. I personally thought it wasn't going to work out, but that tire advantage, plus everyone racing hard up ahead of you, kind of played the difference for you. If that went green, you had this race won. Was that a plan of yours to go long, get the fresh tires at the end, or were you kind of just called out getting undercut?
Well, I was telling Jeff before, I was kind of thinking of like, what would Jeff do in this situation? So I was like, let's just run the tank almost out, or just run a couple laps longer than anybody. That way I have the advantage, because I was really good on the long run all night. Like, I had short run speed, I had long run speed. Like, I was just all around really good tonight for a change, and I knew that I could make up the ground, especially for how hard everybody was racing tonight. And I wanted to have that tire advantage, even if it was just a lap. I wanted that advantage, and it worked out. And I mean, I did a full fuel run in practice, and figured out a line that was working out really well for me, because I'm sure you guys noticed that everybody was either running the bottom or running up by the wall, and I was like, it looked like I was one of the only people running that weird high to middle, like, weird line there on that first seam, and it was just saving tires. I was just sitting there. I'd start getting in the corner and I would double tap my brake pedal, and it was enough to kick the rear end out, and I was using the right rear instead of the right front on that setup. I don't know why that was working, but it was.
It definitely seemed like it was working for you because you were, if not the fastest, you were definitely a top 2 talent along with you and Banks tonight. But incredible run for you. Big night as far as the chase is concerned. Probably didn't gain too much on the 48, but any gain is a pretty big gain in a format like this. So congratulations to you. Anyone you want to shout out and thank?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank Red Camel Racing. They've been an awesome partner of mine. They have amazing equipment. So go check them out at redcamelracing.com. All your racewear and workwear needs. They just announced this week. I don't know if either one of you guys ride motorcycles, but they have a new riding jacket that's coming out. So go check that out. I know there's a lot of people that ride motorcycles and stuff. So again, that's redcamelracing.com. Harpoondesign.com. They make beautiful paint schemes. I'm sure you guys see mine every week. I think Brantley's got like right around 2,000 paint schemes on there, including like all the throwbacks from this weekend. So go check him out. Reaper Speed Labs. Go check them out. Awesome setups. Awesome guys over there. Love working with them. They've been an awesome partner. A lot of wins with them in the official series. So big shout out to them. All of our partners here at SNR, Rock and Roll Costumes, Tractor USA, Clark's Print Shop, 29 Graphics, everybody, all the drivers, you guys for putting on the awesome broadcast each and every week. We love you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job. Hopefully you guys are back next season, and hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the chase.
Definitely going to enjoy it, especially with North Wilkesboro and Talladega coming up. But you enjoy your victory, second victory of the season, the third multi-time winner of the season to go along with that second win of the season. Congratulations, Joseph. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week at North
I'm
Wilkesboro.
only the third person to win more than one race.
Jeff Wright and Joshua Banks. And you?
Really? Wow, that's crazy. That's an interesting stat. Yeah, it's been a stacked season, that's for sure.
Sure was, but like you said, third multi-time winner. Had a lot of winners this season. About, trying to actually look live, about 8 winners this season. And you were third multi-time winner, so congratulations. Make it 3 next week, possibly, if you could get a good run at North Wilkesboro.
And I got a sweep this weekend. I won my Friday night league and tonight. Jeff called it in while we were doing practice that I could go back to back tonight, and we did it. So we got to bring out the broom too.
Might as well try to join a Sunday league just to see if you can try to get 3 in a row. But
Yeah,
either way,
yeah.
either way, great run tonight. Another race victory, inching closer to that point lead. Congratulations, Joseph. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, brother. You guys have a good rest of your week.
You as well.
So there he is, your winner here tonight, Joseph McWhorter in the number 73, scored on iRacing as the number 32. Getting set here for the next race. Plenty of it left to be done. And we go from Auto Club to a much shorter venue. Connor, talk a little bit about next week.
Next week should be pretty fun. We go from a 2-mile high banked track where you see 3 and 4 wide to a track that is really not big at all. I don't remember the exact distance on top of my head, but you're going to be lucky to fit 2 cars into the corner at North Wilkesboro. It's probably one of the smallest tracks you'll ever see that has elevation change. You're going downhill, it almost seems like. Maybe a little downhill, uphill action in turn number 1 to where that rear end is going to get pretty darn sideways. We're going to have drivers on edge into the corner. We're going to see the bumpers used. You might see a lot of beating and banging, even more than we saw tonight. And we saw a decent amount tonight. So North Wilkesboro is one of my favorite tracks on the sim. I'm glad it's a thing in real life once again. This should be a pretty fun race in Xfinity cars. These drivers are going to be going all out for the chase, especially those 12 chasers.
Oh, I got to keep myself together here. My son just held up an Uno reverse card when I told him I'm not done broadcasting. So I guess that's my cue. So yeah, everybody here that watched and tuned in here for SNR, we appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel here on VSpeed. You'll never miss a single race. And tune in Monday. We have Overtake iRacing League. They're in their playoff format for the Truck Series, the Xfinity, and the Cup, all Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 9 p.m. Hope you guys can be a part of it. But until then, for Adam Baker, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, Christian Hill, and my co-commentator of the night, Connor Horn, this is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the Northern Lights, and we'll see you next time.